Captain's Log, June 26th, 2026. Hello, I'm Captain Vile. Good on you, you've made it to Friday. Good on me as well for making it to Friday, because it's, if you've been paying attention to how much I've been complaining in the videos I've been able to upload, more on that in a little bit, you'd know, it's incredibly hot right now. So yeah, second heat wave. There was a heat wave, I think maybe a few weeks ago, and then there was another heat wave that's currently going on right now and will dissipate in a few days. And just for giggles, I'm gonna open up the weather app and see if it'll show me the weather in the week. And it seems next Sunday is tolerable. So, no. I mean, it doesn't show you that far, but I'm... Ooh, wouldn't it be so funny if it's hot, not, for, like, a few weeks? Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be so cool? But that's been rather tedious. Tedious is too light a word, but I've said this before. I try and keep Captain's Log positive to neutral, and we're not starting off neutral, I'll tell you that. And if I continue down this line, it's not going to be neutral either. But I mean, funny thing, last show I said, oh, maybe I'll complain more next show, and who'da thunk it? I got quite a lot to complain about, so maybe this is a rare, Captain Vile breaking his own rule and just whining for an episode. Because it has been a little bit since I've just gotten to, like, complain for 20 minutes, and I've had a pretty terrible week, so... yeah, I think I will do that. I didn't watch a movie this week. I can't really do anything this week. I've been able to record some videos, but as if you saw the community post, I can really only just like be on my computer and watching YouTube, and even then, that's pushing it. OBS seems alright, but loading into games is a no-go. It is too hot in my room for my computer to load anything substantial. Because it being on now, you can probably hear the fans of the damn thing. I mean, I have a fan going as well, but I can hear two different sets of fans, one keeping me cool and one keeping my computer cool, and it's not doing anything but having OBS up. Because the room is so hot, so the PC's got to cool itself down just to exist. So it's got to really cool itself down to load in like Dark Souls or Kingdom Hearts. To the point where it can't cool itself down anymore, and forces a shutdown to avoid damage from heat. This has only happened to me a few times in the maybe 8 years I've owned this PC. Probably longer than that, actually. I've had my tablet since I was 13. But I think I've had my PC longer than that. Yeah. Yeah, no, probably longer. Anyway, that's not important. Point is, can't record anything. So that's wonderful. But, there's only so many ways, even through similes, that I can say I've been overheating for... Let's see how many similes I can do. I have been overheating for the better half of a fortnight. Instead of a week. If I was... Because I'm realizing just how many talking points I do have. that are just me being annoyed. If I was a character in the Arc of the Scythe series, you want to know who I would be? I wouldn't be like Grayson, who's I think my favorite character. Yeah, I like him. I wouldn't be Grayson. I wouldn't be the one scythe in the short story that never work with animals who fights a dog. You know who I'd be? I'd be the damn record keeper who has to deal with all the unsavories, who guards the map. Well, he doesn't. He like unknowingly guards the map in Thunderhead. See if anyone gets that reference. But yeah, that's who I would be. And I bet no one... Whatever. So, school's out. Now it's just... isn't it a fun twist of fate? I've got all this free time, but I can't do anything with it because I'll overheat if I exert myself too much. And that goes for drawing too. I gotta draw if I want to draw, which I do, I have to use my sketchbook because it overheats, and also the damn glove makes my hand too hot. So I've just been doodling in my sketchbook. I've just been reading. I didn't read The Meg. No, I've been reading a book I got at Christmas. The City in the City. That's alright. Fast book. But I wanted to celebrate graduating because I have a big problem of never like celebrating stuff. I intend to, and then I don't do anything, and then it just feels like a regular day. So, earlier in, I think last week, and I've known about this event for years because they are so desperate in their marketing. But the circus is in town. And what a novelty that is. But since the entire time I have lived in the town I'm going to university in, there have been flyers everywhere for this circus when they're... Not even when they're in town. They just leave them up. No one cares to take them down. So there's like thousands of flyers. And they're all like bleached by the sun and just old. And then when they come around, they just like put them up again. I've seen flyers on the on road signs that have like 2 bars. They'll put a big flyer up that connects to the bars. And then on the other side, they'll have another flyer, so it's both ways. But it's like that's... What's the material that... You know those, like, politician vote for me you put in people's yards? That kind of card... It's like plastic cardboard, kind of like that, is the big one, and then the small one is just like a piece of paper they, like, duct taped to the big one on the other side, so you can go both ways. But don't have to spend money for 2. But I've seen them everywhere, and I've always been interested in going. But recently, they've really steeped into desperation to get guests, and sent a letter to my house. Not specifically to me. They've just been sending out these little like flyers of like, hey, here's the circus. You should come. And they have a website now. Previously, it was just a phone number. Now they added a website, and it's not that well compiled. But I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to go, and I'm graduating, so I'll have that be my celebration. I'll go to the circus. What a novelty that would be! And even without graduation, I think I just want to go because the idea of just a guy in his 20s going to the circus alone, and probably, like, somewhat of a barren circus. I don't doubt people are going. I have seen them set up, because they're on my route to work. The field they're in, I'll, like, see them, and I've seen some guests, and it's a pretty big tent. So I'm not imagining it's like the Carnivorous Carnival, where there's like free people in the audience. But just me like sitting alone in the bleachers watching like a clown, or maybe they have things like acrobats too, is was so funny. I was so tempted to do it. So I went to their website, and guess how much a ticket was? A single ticket. And this, again, on the flyer they sent, it said, for a special price, go to our website for like a special discount. And it was $20 for a ticket. It's a 3-hour show. But $20? They better have, like, lion tamers, and they, like, somehow pull a clown out of a lion's mouth for $20. But no, they don't do that. So, no. I'll do a lot for a bit, and I'll do even more for something that only I find funny, but I'm not spending $20 for, like, an evening. I mean, thinking about it more, that's pretty stingy, but whatever. I'm a frugal person. Anyway. Annoyed I didn't get to do that. But speaking of work, I have one coworker who always kind of annoyed me. But now they've definitely, like, they were always just kind of irritating. There's just something about them, just how they talked, and I don't know. Just them being near me was irritating. Just something about them rubbed me the wrong way. And I guess I'll get into that. But I know what it is, too. But spoilers. Come on. Let me have my build up. But we've recently had new uniforms. But the management didn't really care to hand out the uniforms. You had to, like, go up and say, hey, I want to take my new uniform now. And there's other people who haven't... What was that? Oh, something of mine just fell over. It wasn't even like I knocked it over, like I'll swivel in my chair while rambling. It's just... It apparently wasn't set up on anything stable. It just fell over. Whatever. We got new uniforms. Not everyone's wearing them. I wasn't wearing them. But this particular coworker is... He's, to put it kindly, again, really, really trying to stick with the neutral, the positive. He's quite a stickler for the rules. And when he saw... I specifically wasn't in the new uniform, which he was. He's like, oh, why aren't you in your new uniform, Sawyer? I was like, I don't know. I didn't ask the management to hand mine out. I don't care. It's, like, it's fabric that you wear for 8 hours. It doesn't really matter. He was like, okay, well, I mean, you should talk to them. And this was going on for, like, maybe a few weeks. And that's another thing, like... No one cared. I've worked shifts where the managers were, like, on hand instead of just, like, supervising in the office or whatever. And they didn't care. Either they didn't notice, because the uniforms are very similar to the old uniforms, to the point where the only way this coworker knew I wasn't wearing it was because he, like, studied me up and down. I saw him do this in my peripheral vision, and then turned to look at him to be like, what, do I have something on my face? And I said, oh, you're not in uniform. He, like, made a point to, like, And he kept doing this all week, like, for the shifts we were together. And I finally had to say, how does this affect your ability to do your job? What is it about me not being in the new uniform that is so important to your ability to function? Because you're not very good at your job even now. That must be what it is. That's why I have to do everything when we're on shift together. Because there's some force in your brain that doesn't allow you to be competent when I'm not up to code, despite the fact I'm, again, doing everything. So, he then proceeds to snitch on me, the little narc he is, to management, and then they're like, okay, alright, fine, here's your thing. Like... Again, the uniforms were just sitting in the break room in a cardboard box for weeks, and the managers don't care to hand them out. Like, you had to go up and ask them, hey, can I have my uniform now? So they didn't care to hand them out. None of the employees care to ask. I can count on my fingers how many people have the new uniforms. Because eh. Okay, that one was, like, I spitefully was like, okay, how many, like, I'm in the new uniform now. How many other people are in the new uniform to, like, appease this annoying coworker? And it's, oh, that many, huh? Because, again, it's subtle enough that you have to actually look and see, is it the new one or the old one? And so many people are in the old one. But anyway, I had to get a new uniform, or change my uniform. Which, I mean, again, I guess it doesn't matter if you're in the old or new. So why does it matter if you're, like, in the new one now? I think it's just like he just couldn't let it be. It doesn't matter at all. But now I gotta go through this whole. It's not even like a whole thing. I think I just don't like him. This is another thing, and this is another reason I don't like him now. That's added on. The other reason I don't like him, again, is he doesn't do his goddamn job. I have to do his job for him. And that's because his brain is dying. And he's bragging about that. I'm not saying, oh, Captain Vile's picking on someone with a disease. No, no. I don't know if... No, wait, I think he does. Cataloger listens to the captain's log. But he's in his... Or in their damn reports. They go, oh, Captain Vile is doing this to the disabled. I am not. And I'm not doing that to the ill. But he's bragged to me about this. He's pulled out his phone and shown me his shifts. And I was like, oh yeah, I work night shift every day. And that's not impressive. That's bad. You're destroying your brain. You need a certain amount of sleep to function as a human being. And it's becoming very apparent that you're not getting that sleep because you're not functioning or acting like a human being. He has this, like... There's nothing behind his eyes. And he's got this fake smile he puts on. And it's so irritating. It's like something pretending to be human. Like, he's so irritating. And it's because he doesn't get enough sleep. He's not slurring words or, like, stumbling over stuff. But it's just, if you got the right amount of sleep, if you weren't staying up until, like, I don't know, it's... And I know, I'm one to talk about sleep schedules, but I don't, like, pull 24-hour, like, staying awake as a habit. I only do that as, like, okay, no other options. Like, I got a closing shift here for the once in the blue moon I do have those, and then I have, like, class. And that's not gonna happen now, because I don't have class anymore. But I guess it's hard to describe unless you like work with someone who does that. But it's just it's like it's like I'm working with Frankenstein's monster. It's like he's dead and something is keeping him alive. And that's what's off about him. There's like a second delay to everything he does. It's because it's like, oh, the electricity's gonna run through him or something. And he's just so irritating. And he works he works closing shift every day. I have to work with him every single shift because he works every single day. I don't know how he's allowed to do that. But he is so irritating. And Captain, aren't you a little worried that your coworker is going to hear you talk about him? Aren't you a little worried that your managers are going to hear you talking about him on your YouTube channel? No, I'm not. Because I am not popular enough for them to recognize me through my voice, and I am not going to tell anyone I work with that I do YouTube as a hobby. And if any of them, by some miracle, actually, like, watch Captain's Log and are able to pin down my voice to my voice at work, and I almost never talk at work because I barely like anyone at work. That's not to say I hate everyone I work with. I certainly hate some of my coworkers, but not all of them. I'm, like, neutral to positive on everyone but maybe 2 or 3 people I'd say 3 people, and 1 guy quit. The guy I hated most quit. So it's just 2 now. So, no. And I lost my train of thought. If any of them, by some miracle, are able to find this channel, watch the weekly podcast that only people who need something to listen to while like doing something else, or maybe someone who would actually like watching me ramble somehow, I guess. Whatever. If they actually find this part of the channel interesting, and actually find the channel interesting, and actually like recognize my voice, you know what I'm gonna do? I want to deny it. I want. What are you talking about? That isn't me. And like, this kind of cements. If they again, this isn't going to work because they've like listened to this one. And, oh, he denied it or something. But yeah, you can just deny it. People can just sound similar. I don't show my face very often on the channel, and I barely talk at work. So that's my that's my strategy for being able to complain about work. Is work doesn't know. And what work doesn't know won't hurt work. But yes, been a very irritating few weeks. Especially this one. But that's because of the heat. But I'm really just annoyed with this particular coworker. Frankenstein's monster. I got nicknames for a lot of coworkers, especially in my old job. Well, an old job I used to have, I came up with these elaborate, like, her infinitely unhelpful... Oh, no, hang on. Her full nickname was Her Royal Lowness, the Infinitely Unhelpful Queen of Incompetence. I would come up with these insanely long nicknames for my coworkers I hated. One of them, my least... this is just, like... Tweedledee and Tweedledum, because they were always on shift together. But they were probably the most unhelpful. Like, actively unhelpful. They are, like, preventing me from doing my job, instead of, like, the Queen of Incompetence, who just never helped me. And then there was another guy who... I think I called him the eternally annoying Lord of the Broken Record. I think I mentioned him on the channel a while ago. But he worked the drive-thru and would never help me with orders again. That's a connection. I always hate when like no one helps me at work and I have to do everything. But this guy, on top of being annoying, or on top of being unhelpful, was incredibly irritating because he worked the drive-thru and he had a script that he would go through. And people like, they'll do like, oh hi, how are you doing? Here, blah, 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 blah. But he would specifically say, every single customer that came through, when he would hand them their food, he would say, need any napkins? When I eat, I need a bib. And I had to hear that 100 times a day for 7 months. And I wanted to strangle him. He was so irritating. And he would, like... We both hate each other. But what was, like, bringing about it... Like, he was 40 years old. We both... It was a mutual... Most of the time, it's just me, like, angrily... I keep it contained. But with this guy, I could not. Every time he would hand food out, he'd, like, turn around and see me glaring at him. Because I just found that line so irritating. So he would glare at me. So anytime there was any amount of, like, downtime, which wasn't often, but we just glare at each other in silence. I think he knew why I hated him. And I can't say that he ever, like, amped up the line. He would just always say it in the same cadence. That's why I called him the broken record. It was just the same thing every time. He never did it to annoy me. He did it for the benefit of the customers, who some people liked it. I think the regulars found him annoying, because I would see one guy who's just kind of, okay, and then he, like, drove off. So, it's nice to know I wasn't completely alone in hating him. I never talked to my coworkers about him, though. But, well, sometimes I would, complain to coworkers about other coworkers, but most of the time I don't. I just keep it to myself. especially at work. So that, yeah. But yeah, those are some irritating coworkers I have and have had. I was like, I was like 17, and he was over double my age, just glaring at me. We just hated each other. All right. Well, hopefully it will cool down over the weekend. But hopefully I'll be able to actually record some stuff. Because I wanted to do the damn Legacy of the Dark Knight Riddler. But it's too hot to do anything. And that is an excuse. I'll fully admit that. But, well, I'll get to it next week. When it's cooler. Anywho, thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Stay tuned to Gotham